Thanks for joining me with your very precious time. I'm going to be giving you guys all the slides at the end. I'm going to show you, I think, 6 different protocols in this little session. We're not necessarily going to do any hands-on, but we will. I will be giving you the templates and kind of walking you through. And I'm going to assume, and you can let me know in the chat, I'm going to assume that most of you are pretty new to protocols. So out of a 5, I'm going to assume most of you are like a 1 or a 2. So if I'm over explaining anything, you can tell me to stop with the correctile dysfunction so that I can move on to stuff that's more important for you all. But once again, that's my email address, jcorippo@gmail. I don't know why it says intermediate, so I'm going to delete that. All right, my scores. When I went back to the classroom in the middle of COVID, I went from a 23 to a 48, and I think that's worth mentioning. Nikki, let me know on the sound if it doesn't chill out. Hopefully that was just a little internet chugging and it'll clear up. So basically, I doubled my language arts scores and I quadrupled my math scores during the worst part of COVID. During this part of COVID, my kids were hand washing almost 2 hours a day. I don't know if you guys remember that. And we were sitting in basically little plastic prisons, all separated, not able to really collaborate. Still was crushing these kind of numbers. And just a quick review in case somebody wasn't here from the other session. This is my friend Ariana. This is what she was getting done in summer school, you guys. She was moving the bar from the blue to the red, which I know the numbers are too small, but you can see them when you get the slides. She was moving kids from the 30s and 40s to the 90s and 100s in her 3 weeks of summer school. It can go really, really fast. So here's a little bit of a preview of what I'm going to show you guys this session. I'm going to show you thin slide study guide, thick slide, sketch and tell, random emoji, parafly, which is a variation of random emoji, math reps, and I'm going to give you 4 days of school. If you haven't gone back yet, I'm going to give you 4 days pre-planned. All you have to do is just pull things off the shelf and use them as you like. So it's going to be a pretty full 40 minutes here, and I think you'll like it. So one of the ones we use, another easy one to get started with, is called a thin slide. And it's based on the good old KWL chart, except what we do in a thin slide is we give the students one word or phrase. One of my favorite examples for this would be like parallel, okay? Or volcano, types of volcanoes. These are things kids need to know, but they don't necessarily want to sit and listen to my lecture. So I just have them put one image and one word or phrase on one slide. Now you can do this in Nearpod, you can do it in Pear Deck, you can do it in Padlet, you can do it in Google Slides. The platform doesn't matter. But basically what's going to happen is, in the old days, I would say to my kids, what do you want to know about volcanoes, you guys? And then nobody would want to answer. So then I would get my popsicle sticks and I would say, okay, Heidi, I'm calling on you. And she's like, I don't want to talk. I'm an introvert. And then I would get kind of a cruddy answer. And then I go, okay, I'm going to draw another name. Jessica, what do you think? And the kids are all kind of mailing it in. They're like, I'm just going to say something to get you off my back. In this model, I'm going to give the kids a blank workspace, like a Google slide. And then what they've got to do is find something. So I'm giving them access to Google, right? Google Images. One word, one picture, 3 minutes. Okay, so it's a really quick turnaround. And then what happens is each student will share for 4 seconds. Notice that I didn't say present. If I say, and I'm going to pick on you again, Heidi. If I say, Heidi, share one reason that you picked this type of volcano. She's like, well, because of this. It's a very natural process. But when I say present, Heidi's like, oh no, I hate presenting. So I don't put kids in that space, if that makes sense. Again, examples for this: molarity, periodic table families, division steps, Valley Forge. Anything where you want kids to get visual imagery on some vocabulary or concept quickly, you can do a thin slide. And it sounds really basic, But I'm going to give you a couple of testimonials right here. Here's the first one. Jeffrey says, my vocabulary results went up 40% with thin slides. That's a pretty good number. So some people in the last session were asking me, they're like, okay, this is cool, but where's the fancy stuff? Like, this is good, but it's low level. Now check this out. Imagine, Heidi, if you will, that we just did the Fast and Curious on our Latin roots. And then I say to the kids, pick the one that you did the worst on and do a thin slide. Now the kids have a little creative space to take the one that they didn't know, like Monty. They can Google it. They can look it up. Give me 2 pictures and spell it. I'm remediating and differentiating on the fly. Then they get to share it. So let's say that Heidi and Todd and Chris all missed Monty. They get to see other kids' representations of it. It's pretty slick when you think about using it that way. Here's another example. This teacher, Nikki, says, I had a few extra minutes, so thin slides to the rescue. Nikki is using the thin slide as an exit ticket. I think most educators get the idea of an exit ticket, but sometimes it takes a lot of work to produce and do all the things. You can literally do this. You go, exit ticket, vocab word that struck your fancy today. These kids did, here's the 4 words, pollution, factory, urbanization, and labor unions. Guess what? I will guess that maybe only 1 or 2 kids picked labor unions, but the whole class got to hear them share it, which brings it back to the front. And Liz, I think you're totally right. It allows for practice and working in the online platforms. So with and it sounds like Liz is doing like 3rd and 4th, or she has. It's the academic lift for the kids is very concise. 1 word, 1 picture. And what I'll do the first day of school or the 2nd day of school or the 3rd day of school, I might do something like this with 3rd graders. And Liz, you can unmute if you want. I might just say, give me 1 picture about your favorite food. You've got 2 minutes to draw it, and then be prepared to give me 1 fact about why. So I'm building that pedagogical base that I can then later move to Padlet or Nearpod or Google Slides. And it's just super flexible, super fast, and super fast to correct. I aim for 4 seconds per kid on the feedback time, and here's why. If I've got 30 kids, that's 120 seconds. I give them 3 minutes to build, and then the class shares for a maximum of 2 minutes. And I'm going to give you just, again, a real life example of how simple and elegant this is. I'm going to just make a new tab, and I'm going to type in types of volcanoes. This is very different than just volcanoes. I'm going to have my students searching through these different graphics. If you'll notice, almost every graphic has several types of volcanoes. Well, I might have 1 kid that goes, hey, I'm going to use this one, and I'm going to pick composite volcanoes. Great. But I might have another kid who's super geeky about volcanoes. You know, that kid who like watches Discovery Channel all the time, and they're like, ooh, what's an ash cinder volcano? So each kid is able to represent the things in a way that is personalized to them. Or here's another example. I could do parallel, but I could also do parallel in real life. And look what I find when I get parallel in real life. So now kids are, telling me, what do you see in the picture that is or isn't parallel? How do you know it's parallel? So just that easily, I'm bumping up the academic richness of that behavior. Now, when I went back to class, I'm going to show you guys an upgrade. This is called the Thin Slide Study Guide. And again, you guys tell me if I'm wrong. There's times when I need my kids to review, but I got tired of spending all Sunday building a review PowerPoint. And then again, tell me I'm wrong. When I tell kids it's time to review for the social studies quiz, they look at me like I'm taking away their Xbox. They think that review section is beneath them. They are bored. And these are the same kids that I know for a fact will get a C if I don't help them, right? So there's a dynamic there I'm looking to get through. So on a Thin Slide study guide, well, I'm going to back up just a tiny bit. On a thin slide, we're all doing the same word. So we're all doing complementary angle or neutrino or molarity or reverse osmosis, whatever it is, we're all doing the same word. On a thin slide study guide, I'm going to assign each kid a word. And I can do that with 4x6 cards. I can literally just go, hey, Todd, here's your word, let's go. Heidi, here's your word, let's go. So everybody gets a different word. And then I'll show you the form in a second. And then I tell them, Google it, find the best definition for that word you can. Heck, pull it out of your textbook. Definition in your own words. I'm now making the kids paraphrase what they just found right in front of me. And then we add one image. Now here's the plot twist. On day 2, let's say, Heidi, you were slide 1. On day 2, you're slide 2. Todd, you were day 1, you were slide 2. You're now slide 3. Chris, you were 3, now you're 4. Hopefully you see the pattern there. Everybody goes down one slide. And I usually will give them 5 minutes. I give them a little bit more time because they got to search and paraphrase. Okay, so here's what it looks like in action. This is from my friend Jacob Carr. I've enjoyed trying out a new protocol this week in my English 10 class paired with Fast and Curious. They've really been grasping the fallacies very well. They did micro presentations. So Jacob had a lineup of Fast and Curious about logical fallacies. After a few repetitions, he gave each kid one logical fallacy to illustrate and exemplify. Hopefully, is that making sense for you guys, the process here? And then here's what it looks like in real life. And these are the templates that you guys can steal from me. So Mike, the thing was to pick your favorite animal. So Mike did pig, and he put the definition right here, obviously copy pasted, and then he put it in his own words right here and then added a picture. But it says 2 and 3 because what's going to happen is, in this case, Natalie did her favorite video game, and hers was The Legend of Zelda. And then Bob was just starting to move in. Now here's a richer example. This one was your favorite movie. So this one was The Princess Bride. So this is one format. And then what would happen is tomorrow, Heidi, you'd be putting in your favorite movie. And then the next day, Todd, you'd be doing your favorite movie. And so what's happening is we're doing one word a day each. We're hearing all 30 kids share all 30 words. And then tomorrow, same process with a new word. And the next day, time with a new word. Here's another layout that I did with some kids. Nathan did Pharaoh, Egyptian Pharaoh. Any person who uses power to be a tyrant. He paraphrased it. He added an image. Now down here, Hope came in with a little tighter definition and a little better paraphrase. That's going to bring some clarity to Nathan because tomorrow he's going to watch his slide being presented by Heidi. Now, Jadith did this one, a scroll with pictures. Naima did this one, and then paraphrase. And we didn't get to it with this group, but the last person, they don't do a picture, they write a sentence about the word. So again, you can just copy these from me and delete the stuff, and you've got your template ready to go. So slide 6 was Chloe, the word was vizier, and here's Chloe's definition, and then here's Nathan D's definition. One of the rules is you can't use the same definition. So if Heidi used Wikipedia, it's out. Now, Todd, you would need to use dictionary.com or history.com. And it's a collaborative approach to reviewing. The kids are doing the work, and all I'm doing is making sure they're doing the work correctly. And Liz, I love your comment in the chat in terms of all of these things have a time element that is very important. I make the work fit the time. So I don't look at a thing and say, oh, I think this will take an hour and a half. I say to myself, how can I make this assignment a 15-minute assignment? What things can I cut off or model or explain so that the work is getting done within the time frame that I want? Okay, so here's the next one. This is the great granddaddy of all the protocols, and it's an important one for you to see. I have my kids doing all 8 parts of speech in one sitting. This is a very important concept in EduProtocols, because what the textbook will have us do is a week of nouns, a week of verbs, a week of adjectives, a week of adverbs, a week of conjunctions. The textbook tends to do like one conceptual thing per week. The problem with that, especially for kids, is that if I make Chris use all of their brain power this week on nouns, and then next week I say the most important thing is verbs, nouns get ejected from their short-term memory and it gets replaced with verbs. So they might do just fine on their nouns quiz, and then they might just do fine on their verbs quiz. But after all 8 of the parts of speech, they won't retain hardly anything. And that's how kids get to 5th grade and don't know what an adjective is. They're constantly ejecting the short-term memory. So what we do with eight parts is we do all 8 parts daily and use those to create a paragraph. The subject is a fun picture, meme, or GIF. And then listen to this is how I get my lesson planning down. We're going to do this 3 to 4 times a week for 20 to 25 reps. I don't do very many of the protocols. Like, I'm usually looking to do a protocol a minimum of 3 times a week. And here's why. In a 7-day week, if we do something twice, we're just starting over every time. When I get it up to 3 times a week, it starts to be a behavior instead of like an event, if that makes sense. So what we'll do is we'll take a great picture like this. And if anybody has been teaching since the last century, like myself, you guys, when I started doing this, I had to actually go get the old National Geographics from my school librarian and scan in my own funny pictures. Like, the internet didn't even have funny pictures when I started this. So now I can just go food meme and I can get a work of art like this. And if you teach 1st, 2nd, 3rd grade, I'm going to replace the classic sentence frame with this. I'm just going to ask the kids, okay, get out your piece of paper. This is a great one for paper. And I'm going to say, write the articles, A, big A, and big A, the big A. All right. And then what's a noun in the picture? And I'm just going to have the kids copy me. There's a boy in the picture. And there is a food in the picture. And let's say that he's sitting in the park. And so I'm just modeling this with either my document camera or an interactive whiteboard. On the first day, the kids get credit for just copying me. All they got to do is copy me. Verb, he's eating. He's also staring. I'm drawing with my trackpad, so bear with me. He's staring. I'm just going to put S for staring. And let's say he's spitting. He's spitting out the seeds. And then what are our ending marks? Always period, always exclamation, and always question mark. We always have those options. And then I'll just tell the kids, circle the sentence you want. And some kids might say, a boy is spitting, and then put an exclamation mark. I've done this with kindergartners that have only known me for 6 minutes. And you go there and then you go, okay, read me your sentence. And they're so proud of themselves. And look what they're responsible for. They're responsible to capitalize. They're responsible to choose the ending mark. Once they get better at it, I'll have them rewrite that sentence here. And then they'll rewrite that sentence here with a different ending mark. So there's a lot going on here, but it's the same thing every day work-wise with a different picture. Now, once my kids get zipping along at that, look what happens. Boop, hello, all of a sudden we got adjectives and adverbs. And again, I don't know what grade level everybody teaches, but I've had 2nd grade teacher friends of mine get their students up to all 8 parts of speech and a paragraph by the end of 2nd grade. If you teach 3rd grade, that's pretty exciting stuff. Everything, all 8 parts of speech and a paragraph. Now, this is what it looks like when I start with my kids in 5th or 6th grade. I'll take another funny picture. And this one's just one of the classics that I use. Kids will always tell me, they'll say, Corippo, that's actually true. This picture is actually real. And I say, I have 2 daughters. I feel you on that. I get it. So what I'll give my 5th and 6th graders, this is literally the 1st or 2nd day of class, you guys. I give them that picture, 3-word sentence, and I'll give them picture is true, for example. Picture is true. Picture is true. And then I'll have them subject. Picture is the subject and true is the predicate. And then I'll give them 3 nouns. I'll give them 3 adjectives. I'll give them 3 verbs. I'll give them 3 adverbs. If they write down everything I write down on my document camera or on my projector, if they'll write it all down, they get an A for the day. They don't realize that a 2-point A is nearly useless. All they hear is, I got an A today. I tell them, keep the paper because tomorrow you're going to cheat off yourself. So tomorrow I give them a new picture. I could stick with the dog theme or I could jump to cats. There's no rules. And then I go like this. Here were the nouns yesterday. Who's got some nouns for today? Who's got some adjectives for today? And what I'll do is a very, very clear and simple process. I will begin by giving them 1, 2, 3 nouns. After a couple of days, I'll give them 2 nouns and they'll find the third. After a couple of more days, I give them 1 noun and they find the other 2. And eventually I give them nothing and we just go. And the reason it's called 8 parts is this is like an artist's palette, if you would. And what we're doing is we're building a word bank that we're then going to execute right here with the paragraph. And it is amazing to see how rich kids' writing gets really quickly when it's scaffolded like this. Now, this is the less work part. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, while they're working, I'm walking around. I'm just making sure that every box is filled in. And then I start looking to see which boxes are filled in a way that looks, sensible, if you would. Okay. Then I know which kids to visit every day. And every day I might need to swing by Heidi and double check her prepositions. And with Todd, I might need to double check his adverbs and interjections. So I'm getting to know which things which kids need every day. And then I can take a real primary document if you're a history teacher. This one's really fun to use. Okay. Disneyland, noun. Party, noun. Whoopee, interjection. Attractions. I think attractions could be considered an adjective because it's describing there. And here's a proper noun, Kay Bell and the Spacemen. Limited number of tickets. How many tickets? Limited number. So that makes that an adjective because it's describing the tickets. We can take literally real life primary documents and use them for inspiration. And this is the one the kids are always like, whoa, Corippo, wait, what? Disneyland is $6? How is that working? So that always cracks them up. But you can substitute different pictures, serious pictures, funny pictures, historical pictures for that. So that's 8 parts. I'm going to pause for a second in case anybody wants to do like any quick follow-up or clarifications. And these are available at EduProtocols.com. You can get them for free. And then I'm going to share the slides with you. All right, everybody's cool then. All right, looking good. All right, I love when I'm explaining stuff and it makes sense. All right, the next one is called thick slides. And the key to thick slides is it's a deconstructed paragraph. It's everything you'll need to create a paragraph. But I never say the word notes because when I say notes, all the kids head for the hills. So I don't say we're going to take notes. I say we're going to do thick slides. And they're like, I have no idea what a thick slide is, but it sounds interesting. They've already done thin slides and they like them. This one in particular, I've been doing since 2002, you guys. Oh, Sydney, your block schedule. Now that's a great question. I developed all the protocols at the high school that we started for a block schedule. So what I would try to do is if you meet 3 times a week, I would just try to make sure I do it at least 2 times a week. But here's a fun variation. If you overload the first 2 weeks and you do it for 3 times, you could actually do 2 + 1 as independent study, and they won't hate it. They'll do them in the same way that they might do Mad Libs. So hopefully that gives you some clarity there.
Yeah, that's super helpful. Thank you. Sorry, I've got my toddler and my kids out here. So I was like,
no,
at the moment.
No problem. This is not a keynote. We're just teachers hanging out. So jump right in there. Not a problem. I love people unmuting and jumping in. So yeah, Sydney. So like I said, you're going to break it into that. What's really cool about protocols and block schedule, just to extend that though, Sydney, imagine right now when I say block schedule, a lot of teachers, they get really afraid because they think If it's an 85-minute class, they're like, oh my gosh, I need to lecture for like 50 minutes. That's forever. And then I'll give the kids 20 minutes to do the worksheet. With protocols, it goes like this. We're going to do fast and curious. We're going to do thin slides. We're going to do thick slides. We're going to do cyber sandwich. We're going to do random emoji. And then we're going to do another fast and curious. We're going to do the same thing every week. All I'm doing is shifting the subject matter. So the planning for block is nuts. You almost think about like a sports practice, right? Every day we're going to run around the cones. Every day we're going to do some goals. We're going to do some throw-ins. We're going to do some half, defense drills, and then offense drills, and then scrimmage. Once you have that plan built, you just do little cool variations.
Yeah, this is all super helpful. It's my first year as middle school ELA. I came from like preschool to first grade background. And this is, I think, the most practical, like daily thing that I've learned. I've been reading all kinds of stuff this summer trying to get prepared, and everything else that I've done is just very overwhelming. This seems a lot like streamlined and practical.
Well, and just think about this for your first 3 weeks. If you do Latin roots in Fast and Curious and parts of speech in Fast and Curious, that's a no-brainer. If you do a little random emoji every day, you can knock out 3 paragraphs a day. And then you throw in some 8 parts where that all culminates. You are literally planned until around Halloween. Now, it could be earlier depending on how your kids are doing. But that is literally your almost everyday plan. And then you sprinkle in some other stuff to keep it fresh. You're good to go. And the kids won't mind because their scores are going up and they know they're really getting better, and they love that.
Yeah. No, this is great.
Cool. So I'm going to get into the next thing, thick slides, which is note taking. So here we go. We're going to, it's a deconstructed paragraph. Okay. We're going to give a first and third person quote. We're going to create a title and a subtitle, 4 to 6 facts, compare it with something else, and 2 pictures with captions. And here's why I think this is a really good strategy. If you have kids that can pull all of this information together in 10 to 15 minutes, research reports are going to be so much easier. Okay. And this is how long I've been doing this. Okay. This is one of the first ones we ever did. This is in 2002, you guys. This is literally on a 400 megahertz PC that we got surplus from the Treasury Bureau. Like, this was a ratty old PC. And I'm pretty sure we stole our version of Office and cloned it on everybody's machine. But look what a great job Caitlin Miller did with this. I just want you to look at this for a moment as you're considering it. Is this 6th grader ready to write a paragraph about Caesar's political history? I feel like this 6th grader has got enough for 2 paragraphs, right? Is a student that can assemble this from paper onto slides in 15 minutes, is that student going to do well in high school? My real life experience is yes, they're going to do just fine. So I'm going to show you a couple more examples, and then I'll get you the template here in a second. Here it is in 4th grade. Ooh, I'm going to make this one bigger. This is 4th graders, you guys. This is 4th graders doing thick slides. Let me break it down for you. Here's the title, Copper. Here's the comparing it to iron. Look at how they're building all of this stuff. Here's your fact, here's your fact, here's your fact, here's your fact. Here is copper being used in real life, the Statue of Liberty. And then here's a cute little quote about copper. Nice and clean. And we can start our thick slides the first week of school. We can literally start our thick slide the first week of school with, let's do a thick slide on your favorite shoe, artist, or food. We're doing it with a low cognitive load that the kids are excited to tell people about. Your favorite Lord of the Rings character, your favorite Marvel character. And I need you to compare Spider-Man to Iron Man. I need to see something that they've done in real life. I need some facts about them. Here's the same 4th grade class. Here's another kid. They're doing theirs on coal. Notice how it's similar, but not exactly the different. And if you look carefully, Look what colors this kid is using. They're using colors that are reminiscent of copper. What's this kid doing? So now we're talking about theme and how to support it. So this student's got, there's their facts, there's their pictures. As a pre-writing activity, this is super, super slick. And check this out. I know it's a little small. I can't make the picture bigger. But if you look really carefully, this is a progression from what a student is doing in, actually, maybe I can make the picture bigger. Hold it. This is what the kid's doing in, let's say, September. Okay. Background is white. Still says thick slides. They didn't even delete the title. Look at the second rep. We've moved from McDonald's to Starbucks. Now we're into the Blue Sea Dragon. That's the third rep. And then we're adding in the content. Look at this, loyalists. Look at how good that Rosa Parks look. This is the same kid's progression over about 5 months of doing thick slides. Look at the difference. And I feel really good that that fourth grader is going to rock high school if they can make that in fourth grade. Okay. And that's that 4 C's part I was talking about. Look at this one. I love this fifth grader. Written by one of my fifth graders and left on my desk, says Christina. Next week, can you give me 2 thick slides, please? They are fun. My teacher heart left work smiling despite a long rainy day. Look at the handwriting on this guy. Does he look like a straight A student that's just geeking out about notes? He is not. He is not that guy. I think it took 3 tries for him to spell give. Look at give. He never did spell 2 correctly. To me, that's what engagement looks like. Here's a student who is excited about expressing himself. And this one's hilarious. This one is, look what this girl did her thick slide on. She did it on flamingos. She's comparing ibises to flamingos. And here's the title of the file. Ready? Thick slide at home. I like to make thick slides, so I made one just for fun. Are you having that with your kids? Most people aren't. So I think that's a really, really great outcome. And yet, here's what a thick slide looks like in an 8th grade science class. So it can be very, very academic. Think about it like a framework, not an assignment. You can take thick slides all the way up through college. So here's the template for you guys. I'm going to put this in the chat, and you can drop in and see this one, and I'll pop it open right here. Oh, that's a great idea, Liz. Yeah. So Liz is saying she's print some out so kids can see what's going on. And I love that. Modeling. So here's what you guys are getting. Here's some people doing some thick slides. Tri-tip. Here's one on sweet potato black bean quesadillas. Look how prideful this person is. Can we eat these once a week? Sure. This one's on sushi or sashimi. This one's on deep dish pizza. And so this is the idea of doing something that's really fun and engaging so that when I say in 2 or 3 days, hey, we're going to do thick slides, there's your blank for you guys. When I say, hey, we're going to do thick slides, people are like, oh, that was so fun when I shared the inside of an egg roll. So they have a positive feeling about the work that we're going to do. So get in there and you can grab that and make a copy, no problem. And Liz, I really do like that. In fact, Liz, think about this as an option. If you're in EduProtocols, you could literally print some of the EduProtocols and put them up for a week before the kids try them with you. So they already see what the model looks like. And it's very different than traditional teaching. And traditional teaching will say this, I've got to hide last year's science fair or the kids will cheat. My perspective is I show the kids, I go, this is how good we did last year. I want it to be better this year. Let's start the bar high. When you give people a blank piece of paper, they can really struggle with that. But when you give them something to copy, they can get right to it. So these are big ideas for EduProtocols, cognitive load theory. You've got working memory and long-term memory. And we really focus on the split attention effect. That's why we do things in a smart start, easy way to get it started. We don't depend on the textbook or the internet for the practice round. We just go, tell me everything you know about weird animals, and your 5th graders light up. All of a sudden they're talking about axolotls and goblin nose sharks and all these weird things, but that's already in their brain. In fact, fun story, Liz, I was working with some 8th graders and I said, you can do a thick slide on these weird animals. And there was like 6 that were ready to go. And I said, hey, and here's the deal. If your weird animal isn't on the list, you can do whatever weird animal you want. One of these big 6'2" 8th graders comes up to me and he goes, hey, mister, can I do mine on Antarctica? Okay. As long as you fill it out, bro, not a problem. And he's like, yes. Like, who's excited about Antarctica? I have no idea what's going on there. But if that's the work he wants to do, not my problem, right? I let him roll. So split attention effect is a big one for us because you're lowering the cognitive load to allow kids to learn the game, in this case, the EduProtocol. Then I make the content more difficult. Another one that we really like, that's an easy one to get started with, is Sketch and Tell, which my co-author Marlena created. This one's really simple. You give kids a source of information. You've got the whole internet. It could be their textbook. It could be a video. They each get one slide. And then they explain by drawing. And I want to point this out. This is not fine art. It's scribbling. Okay? Stick figures are welcome. It's not a drawing grade. It's an explaining grade. And in next gen science, one of the big concepts is modeling. Can you create a drawing of your knowledge? Now, what happens is we draw for a few minutes and then we talk to each other. And then we explain on paper or on the slide or whatever, what it was we said to our partner. And here's a great example of this. And this is protocols in general. This is my friend Adriana. She said, last year, she's a Spanish teacher. She got given science to teach for the summer. And she texted me and she's like, what do I do? What do I do? I don't know science. I go, do you know EduProtocols? She goes, yes, I do. And I go, so when you used to teach Dia de los Muertos, you're just going to use the same protocol to teach cell division. It's still an Iron Chef. It's still a thick slide. It's still fast and curious. You're just going to have to open the book to chapter 3 and punch that content and that vocabulary into cell division instead of Dia de los Muertos. And she's like, you're blowing my mind. She had a great summer. So this is a year later. Her husband, who's a PE teacher, gets assigned geometry. He is not a geometry teacher, but he is now teaching geometry. And she said she taught him what I taught her. So here is Sketch and Tell. And he's making the kids not just do a quiz on, but create this drawing from scratch using the term and then explaining the term. Here's another example of Sketch and Tell. These kids, and here's one of the solos I made a little bigger here that I'm jiggling. This is 4th graders explaining how to make Adobe. And like I said, you'll notice very closely here, it's not the drawing skill. See, they just put a round thing for a head and some stick legs. Totally fine. But look what's going on the tell. When you make Adobe bricks, first, you have to make a hole. And then you have to get the clay/mud and put the straw in the mud. They use the drawing to trigger effective writing. It's a really great tactic. Here's some more 4th graders. This is 4 different kids explaining how transpiration works and how precipitation works. So instead of just doing a multiple choice, these kids are actually creating. This one blows my mind. I don't know if you've seen this one, Liz. This is 3rd graders doing characterization. These were created by 3rd graders using nothing but the tools in Google Slides. And I'm going to show you what they did. If you look at Grogu's ears, all they did was this. They took this guy right here, and then they spun it, and then they duplicated it, and they made a smaller one, and they put it inside. And then you go over the little color dealy here, and you can actually use the eyedropper to match the color of what you're working on. And these kids created all of this from scratch, literally from scratch. Incredible. They did this. In fact, it's mind-blowing for 3rd graders, but look at what's happening here. I, if you look at the Chewbacca, he can't even spell Chewbacca right. Look what it says. Chewbacca is hairy and fluffy. He is also pretty big and brown. He's an odd creature. Here are three of his personality traits. He's a good judge of character. He's open to his friends' ideas, no matter how weird they are. And he always has their friends' backs, no matter what. I'd say that's a pretty good explanation by a third grader. So really, really powerful. Look at, and then there is third graders. So yay for Isabel for cranking that out. Here's eighth grade. They're using these same little drawing tools. Look, there's a little sun in here. There's his sun. So this kid dropped in the sun, and then they dropped in. This is really creative, I think. They took a circle and they made that blue. And then for the continents, look what they did. They use a call out for the continents. You guys, that's metacognition, that's problem solving, that's visual thinking. So these kids are making all this stuff, but the drawing only triggers the tell. The eclipse represented in the sketch is a lunar eclipse. When is between the sun and moon, the Earth's shadow is cast on the moon. A lunar eclipse can only happen if the moon is in its full phase. It's very technical writing, but it was scaffolded by the drawing. Here's another example. This is in a chemistry class, and look what the teacher did over here. They just put some of the key questions over here. How can you affect climate change? What are some changes? What do you feel is a major message? And then these drawings are related to the various answers that the kids did. Super easy prep, very engaging. And then this teacher is using this in chemistry. These kids are having to model their chemicals and their bonds. They're not just answering A, B, C, D, which frankly, I got all the way through Fresno State doing almost all Scantrons. This is going to be a lot more work. And they had to go through and make all of these and think, what colors am I going to use? And what's the proportion and what's the size? It's really, really powerful. So here's another set of templates for you guys. And I will put that there on the screen. And then I will put this in, that's in the slides. But this is just, and this is so funny, Liz, I'm thinking of you in particular. People say, do you have a template for sketch and tell? Here's what I do. I open up a Google slide and I put sketch and then I put tell. Template is ready. It's not that hard. And I've had people literally have kids just do it on paper. Fold your piece of paper over, write sketch and tell. And they get right on it. And so this is a student in the process of explaining the water cycle, and they made their own precipitation. And really easy. If you teach science, like let's say you're a K-6 self-contaminated teacher, watch this. Have you guys seen PhET? I hope you have. It's from Colorado. And I can literally go in like this to physics, and I can grab where is it? Come on, circuit lab. Okay, here we go. Watch how fun this is and how easy this is. And you're right, Holly, this simplicity is the beauty. I will literally give kids this PhET and I'll say, make the light bulb go on. And oh yeah, thanks for that. They'll be like, what do you mean? And I go, make the light bulb come on. You got a wire, you got a battery, and you got a bulb. Make the light bulb come on. And so what they do then is they futz around and they're like, okay, it's not coming on. And I tell them, you have an unlimited supply of wires. And then they're like, oh, I made the light bulb come on. What they'll do for the sketch and tell is they'll get in there and they'll model what they built in PhET. And then they'll explain it. And by the way, on PhET, it has this. It even has live voltage meters. Watch the meter. It's actually a live meter. It's crazy. But PhET and sketch and tell is a nice 30 minutes a day, 45 minutes a day for your science time, and super creative. Okay, we already did random emoji. Math reps, I'm going to just give you a quick look at because they gave me the 1 minute countdown. Mathreps.com. This is how I went from 9% to 41% with very little correcting or planning. Look at how much work the kids are doing here every day. Look at how much work they're doing. My only planning is 2, 8, 9. Todd, guess what we're going to do tomorrow? 2, 7, 9. I'm prepped. We prepped for tomorrow. We're doing 8 or 9 standards, and we're going to do the same thing as yesterday, but faster. almost like an athletic event. Okay, same thing as history. Look how much these kids are doing. This is third grade. They're doing skip count, standard form, expanded form, number and words, multiplication, show me the product, the array, the number sentence, all this stuff going on. My prep for tomorrow is 3 times 5. And the same thing as yesterday, all this work, but faster. Here's another example. Daily division, kids struggle with division. Here's another one. Here's today's equation. Model it, model it, model it. Here's another example. But it goes all the way to trig. This literally goes all the way to trig, and all I've got to do here is punch in this. Today's angle, 27. Ready, go. And they do all these things about a single angle. Math reps are free, and they're super duper cool. Here's how much work that kid does on a daily basis. And look, it was just pi over 4. Today, tomorrow, guess what, Todd? Pi over 5. Ooh, so much lesson planning time. And I'm getting all this stuff done. So mathreps.com, those are free. And then just a little bit here. Remember, Jamie said 20 minutes left in my prep. Here's what planning looks like. And I'll give you guys these slides. I just literally go like this. I want to do fast and curious. Let's do some random emoji. And I just can drag things in and say, oh, we'll do some math reps. I can plan my day just like this. So slick. Liz, I typically do some fast and curious before some math reps to give them the vocab. But then on the first day of math reps, I do it just like what we would do in 8 parts. I literally give the kids the blank thingy, and I do this on my document camera. All they have to do the first day is follow me because I want to get them comfortable. On the second day, I have them copy me. Except for 2 boxes, I say, you know how to do this. And over 2 or 3 days, I release it to them, if that makes sense, Liz. We also, and then I'm wrapping up for my Heartland people, Smart Start blows minds. Look at this. This is from last week. Middle school boot camp sponsored by EduProtocols. We did fast and curious, thin slides, wicked hydra, random emojis, so much fun. We are ready for 6th grade. The idea is to start with building and creating. We model after a lot of the Navy SEALs work. If your first day of school is Thursday and Friday, I'm going to take a deep dive on practicing a bunch of protocols. The Navy SEALs say we're going to teach them to walk correctly, then run correctly, then we run faster every day. And this is what it might look like. A thin slide of food people shouldn't eat, the best movie ever, a memory of summer, and your dream job. Boom, 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 first 4 days planned. This link right here, when you get the slides, when you click here, it opens up. These are all live links. You are literally ready to go. You can just drop them in and go. EduProtocols, you're going to keep your curriculum. You don't got to get rid of Go Math. You don't got to get rid of your reading program. I'm just going to add activities that are far more effective. And especially with things like timed math, most of your math programs, they don't do that. Oh, elementary music. Oh my gosh, GimKit. And watch this real quick. Wordwall.net. I got to squeeze this in. Stick with me, Heartland people. Okay, so wordwall.net is free, and I go like this. Ready? Music. Watch what happens for my music teacher. Ready? Boom. Ready? Boom. They are going to drag these. Which ones are strings? Which ones are percussion? I'm not going to lecture this. I'm going to make them play till they get an A. It is so sweet. Wordwall.net. I can't explain how to use it right now, but if you want, I'll email me later. I'll walk you through it. EduProtocols.com, tons of free stuff right there. EduProtocols.com, tons of free stuff. We have a paid version called EduProtocols Plus. There's 11,000 of us sharing crazily on Facebook at the EduProtocols community. And here is the link to these slides. I'm going to give it to you right now, because I don't want to mess up my Heartland friends. Here we go, wrapping this up. I got to send it to everybody. Here we go. There's the link. And great to meet you guys wherever you're from. I love going out to schools. Like, people will email me, do you come to schools? I love going to schools. So if you want me to come to your school, that's great. But I'll also do free lifetime tech support. There's my email. Email me if I said anything that makes you go, this is crazy cool, but I still know how to do it. Email me. I'll walk you through it. I got hundreds of slide decks to share. And I don't want to get too deep into the next person's session. So, hey, thanks for letting me share. It's great to meet you guys. If nothing else, grab my email address. Boom. I'll send you the slides later. I don't know when your first day is back, but have a great summer. Last couple of days, hopefully, and have a great year. And we're here to help you EduProtocol the whole thing.